welcome back to another lesson in Adobe Illustrator. Last time I left off in appearances, and as you can see I'm still in appearances because there's so much more to get into. So we're going to do that today, and left off on scribbles, and we're going to take up with scribbles. Little did you know how exciting scribbles could be. I didn't think anything could be done with it, but it can. So let me get rid of this and put an apple on. All right, so now in appearances here, nothing selected, so it always shows D-stroke. Now this is so here's the stroke and fill. I've only selected one, but now here's what happened. I select the whole object. So now it's mixed appearances, and even if I double click, nothing else is going to show up, or nothing else is going to show up because it's all grouped, so it's all confusing. So you can't group, you can't select everything and then expect to be able to do it. You have to do one at a time. All right, now let me go into Scribble here, under Stylize, Scribble. And that's the default that's showing up right now, right here. And let's just briefly go through some of the other options that we have. So you have childlike, and have preview on, so this shows right away. It's pretty much right away. You have dense, and if you look on the screen, you'll see how these change, so you can get an idea. So you can use these things as a base first. If something's close to what you want, then you can use that as a base. I'm not going to go through all of them, but loose moire. So you can see there's a whole selection that you can start with for your own scribble. So let's just click OK for now. Let's take a look at moire, and it's pretty cool. So it applied it to everything. All right, so now let's get some more here. Let me reset my essentials because I closed something by mistake, closed the layers by mistake. Okay, so, and that's good to know, that you can reset and go back. All right. Now let's get rid of the apple. Let's go to appearances. And what I'm going to do right now is make a copy. So I'm going to hold down the Option key while I drag. And select that, hold down the Option key and drag again. All right, so now I'm going to create some special effects with these three types of fonts, typefaces I should say. Well, they are fonts, they are typefaces. Okay, so Stylize Scribble. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these settings so it's different. So as you can see, the last setting that is there is what always shows up. So the last thing you use will always show up. So remember that because that can come in handy someday. So you see that's at -45 right now. So I want to make that 40. I'm gonna keep that at 0. Set this to 2, and that's the variation of the line. I'm going to change the stroke width to 1. Change the curviness to 0, and the variation of that curviness to 50, and the spacing to 0, and variation, oops, it's trying to catch up to me. Okay, so the screen needs to redraw. Okay, so now it's caught up with me, and I'm going to make that 2. And let's go. Okay, so here's my first scribble that I've created by changing the settings. So now I'm going to do another one. Go to FX, Stylize Scribble. Now I'm going to leave this at 40, and the path overlap refers to where it goes inside, outside, or centered on the path. That's the perimeter of the typeface or the object. Because scribbles, as I showed you, can be applied to an object, like with the apple, and to fonts. Okay, so now I'm going to leave the path overlap at 0, variation at 2. I'm going to change the line options, the width to 2, and go down to the curviness, make that 5, leave that at 50, make this a 2, and change that to 1.5. Okay, so now I get a little bit of a denser concentration of strokes, and I'm going to do one that's a little bit looser. So let me show you this. So these are the settings that you can apply, and the thing is, you start with the default or whatever, and just move on from there. So you have a lot of variation. So you don't have to buy a font that's called a scribble font. You can make any font a scribble font, and you could change it to suit your needs. Notice you have maximum flexibility. So depending on the size of your font or lettering, you can do a lot. Okay, let me change the line options here to 1. Let me change the curviness to 0. Let me change the variation of that curviness to 40. And the spacing I'm going to increase that to 5. And I'm going to leave the variation at 1.5. Okay, so now let's take a look at what we have wrought. All right, so here you can see on the bottom, and as you can see, as I mouse over it, the actual type is still there and it's still editable. So I could change it with the appearances intact. So I can change that to an A, and it goes off because it's tight. So let me change it over here so you can see. So change that to A, and you can see it's still editable. All right. So, whoops. Okay, so I have 3. The bottom one is very light and loose, so it's a nice scribble. So I won't hover over it. Let's just go from the bottom up. The bottom one is very light and loose, so a nice little scribble. The middle one is very dense, so that's a heavier scribble line that I created. And the top one, it has a medium type. It's in between both of those. So you can change the density, with the settings that I set to show different types of scribble. Okay, now before we move on, because I've shown you scribble effects, and now we're going to move on to a warp effect. So let me just check this off here. Okay, so let's use the shapes. And let's select the word shapes. Go to our appearance panel, go to FX, and be careful, because Illustrator effects are on top and Photoshop effects are on the bottom. So stay up here with Illustrator effects, because we don't want to use that right now. And Illustrator effects are still customizable, so that's why you want to stay there. So we're finished with scribble. So now let's go to warp down here, and here let's twist these letters. Let's give you a little preview, so you can see the letters just go all over the place. I can change that to horizontal, and you can see the change there. Also, I can change it with the bend tool. So I can change how much it twists. Also, I can change whether it's going in the twist in the horizontal direction. how much it twists in the vertical direction. So right now I have everything set at the center, so there's hardly any twist at all. So let's put a little twist in there. There. And as you can see, the letter forms are still available to me, and as a matter of fact, it's still editable also. So I can click, change that to I. I don't know what a shapes or sheeps are, but that's okay. So let's put it back to shapes, get rid of that, and now let me show you what else you can do with the warp tool. Now, I have a box here because I think this box will help to show what happens, because you can use this on the type as well as your objects. So here I have a lower arc, and you can see it creates an arc that's lower in a square, and you can do the same thing with your font. The warp, arc lower, preview that, and you can see that that changes here. Now you have some flexibility because you can change that so it goes up more. So if you want it above a circle or within a circle, you can change it. So if you know the circumference of your circle, you can input that here, and you'll be pretty close and just fine tune it there. Also, I can change it to vertical, so that it goes in the other direction.